It started with a body. They always do. The call came in on a quiet July morning in 1982. A fisherman had found a woman's body floating in the Green River just south of Seattle. When I arrived at the scene, the sun hadn't yet burned through the early fog. The air was still, the river moving lazily, as if trying to forget what it was hiding. The woman, young, in her early 20s, had been strangled, her body left half submerged in the murky water. No identification, no witnesses, just a Jane Doe, discarded like garbage. I thought it was a one-off, a terrible but isolated tragedy. But within days, another body turned up in the same river, and then another. And then, as the summer wore on, more young women disappeared from the streets of Seattle. My gut told me we were in over our heads. I had seen my share of murders, but this felt different. It wasn't random, it was deliberate, methodical. The women shared too many similarities. Most of them were runaways, prostitutes, vulnerable, the kind of women no one missed until it was too late. We had a killer on our hands. The media started calling him the Green River Killer before we even had a suspect. I didn't need a name to know what we were dealing with. He was out there, hunting, and we had no idea who he was. All we had were bodies. The first one we identified was Wendy Caulfield, 16 years old. She had run away from home just days before she was found strangled, her body tossed into the river like the others. I remember standing on the riverbank, staring down at her lifeless form, wondering how many more there would be. The investigation ramped up. A task force was formed. We interviewed witnesses, dug into the backgrounds of the victims, tried to find any connection that could lead us to the killer. But every lead hit a dead end. He was like a ghost, slipping through our fingers, leaving behind only bodies. Weeks turned into months, and the bodies kept coming. Deborah Estes, Opal Mills, Cynthia Hines, young women, each with their own story, each silenced forever. They were all found in or near the river, their bodies hidden beneath rocks or branches, as if the killer believed the water would hide his crimes. But the river couldn't wash away the horror. The case consumed me. I spent long nights in the office, poring over files, re-interviewing witnesses, trying to piece together a puzzle with too many missing pieces. I started seeing patterns in the chaos. The killer wasn't just targeting vulnerable women. He was choosing them, stalking them. The way their bodies were disposed of suggested he had done this before. He knew how to cover his tracks, leaving nothing behind but fear. By 1984, we had over 40 victims, but no closer to catching him. Desperation seeped into the department. Every time we thought we had a suspect, something didn't fit. We followed every lead, every tip, but the killer remained a phantom. He was playing a game with us, taunting us with every new body. Then, in the late 80s, we caught a break. A witness reported seeing a dark pickup truck near one of the dumping sites. A man matching the description was seen picking up women on the strip where many of the victims had last been seen. But still, nothing concrete, just whispers in the night. In 1987, we brought in a man named Gary Ridgway for questioning. He fit the profile, quiet, unassuming, a man who kept to himself. He worked as a painter and often cruised the areas where the victims were last seen. But Ridgway passed a lie detector test, and with no physical evidence linking him to the crimes, we had to let him go. Another leg turned to dust. Years passed, and I'll admit, part of me started to wonder if we would ever catch him. The killings slowed down, but they never stopped. He had perfected his method, evolved, but his victims kept appearing. Women like Patricia Barzak and Mary Bridget Meehan. Their bodies were found dumped in wooded areas, sometimes miles away from the river, but the signature was the same. We knew it was him. By the late 90s, the case had gone cold. It felt like a failure, our failure, over 20 years, and we hadn't stopped him. The weight of the bodies piled up, and with every new victim, the fear grew that we never would. Then, in 2001, everything changed. DNA technology had advanced, and we were able to retest evidence from the original crime scenes. Semen samples from the early victims, preserved for years, were run through the new system. It was a long shot, but we were desperate. And then we got a match. Gary Ridgway, the same man we had questioned years ago, the man who had slipped through our fingers because we didn't have the tools to catch him back then. He had been hiding in plain sight all along. We arrested him quietly, almost without incident. Ridgway didn't seem to care. In fact, during the interrogation, he confessed, calmly, coldly, to killing at least 49 women, but he said the number could be higher. He couldn't remember them all. Each woman he murdered, He strangled with his hands, watching the life drain from their eyes. He took pleasure in it, like it was a game. I'll never forget the look in his eyes when he confessed. No remorse, no regret, just emptiness. He had murdered 49 women, 49 lives extinguished, 49 families shattered, and he felt nothing. In the end, Ridgway made a deal to avoid the death penalty. He led us to the bodies of some of his victims that we hadn't yet found, providing closure for families who had waited decades for answers. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.